Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 27 of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune because after this I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was the Otsutsuki King. So stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And over on Anime King 2, I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was Banished and got a supernatural ability. So stay in tune for that as well guys. And after that, I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor. So stay in tune for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last time we left off, Mikoto and Naruto sit down with Kushina along with Yujiro. As they told her the news, Kushina burst out laughing because she thinks that it was just a joke. But when she saw that they weren't joking, a look of disgust flashed across her face as she started to curse at Mikoto. She then got up and started to walk away, as Mikoto begged her not to leave. As Naruto then called her mother, but she turned towards him with a glare, as she told him to shut up. And don't mother her. After what he did, it takes two to have a baby. As Naruto was taken aback by that, she never in his life shouted at him like that before. As she then left, as Naruto then vanished as well. Some minutes later, Sasuke was screaming out Naruto's name as he entered the forest of death. As Naruto was just standing there, not reacting to anything, Sasuke appeared beside him and drive his Chidori right through Naruto's shoulder. As the pain then kicked in, Naruto delivered a hard kick on Sasuke. As the both of them started the battle, with Sasuke setting Naruto ablaze with the Amaterasu. Tsunade was quickly informed as she went out there to see Mikoto Kushina, and the both of them were actually staying apart from each other, and she could feel a tense atmosphere. As Yujiro told Tsunade what happened, as Tsunade couldn't believe it, as Naruto started to beat the living crap out of Sasuke. As Naruto dropkicked Sasuke straight into the ground and picked up his blade and placed it at Sasuke's neck, and he was about to drive it right through when Kushina called out and told him to stop. As Naruto heard her voice, he released his blade as he wanted to apologize to his mother as she saw her crying, as he didn't mean to make her feel pain, as he slowly took his time to get over there because he was still injured from the battle. But Sasuke was still pissed as he dashed forward his hand covered in lightning ready to drive it through Naruto's back. But Mikoto saw what he was about to do as she jumped in the way and told him to stop, but Sasuke couldn't stop, it was too late. Naruto quickly used his wind and pushed away Mikoto as the hand drove right through him. As Kushina could only watch as her son collapsed on her, blood pouring from his mouth and his stomach, as he fell into unconsciousness. A week later, Naruto woke up in the hospital, as Tsunade had let him stay in a small coma so his body would heal perfectly. As the Kyuubi did not heal him because if the fox keep on healing him instantaneously, it will shorten his lifespan. And the fox just put out a little chakra knowing that he would be fine from that attack, seeing that the Senju man was healing him. As Tsunade told Naruto that she wanted him to accompany her to Kiri to talk about the business, and if everything goes well, he can also go there and do it himself. As Naruto was surprised her giving him more room to take charge. She said that he now has someone else in the village to take care of and watch over, so he's not gonna do anything bad. As she then left, Sasuke then visited Naruto, as Sasuke told Naruto he will never forgive him. But Naruto was happy that he was still talking to him, as he told Sasuke that he's truly sorry for what he did. As Naruto then went to visit Mikoto, as she was surprised to see him here, as Naruto told her he wouldn't leave her alone out of this. As she might be alone, Sasuke was still angry, his mother was angry. She was alone here, so he would be here for her, as she thanked him for that. Getting home, Naruto saw his mother as she quickly rushed out to him and hugged him, as she told him sorry, as she never thought one thing could escalate like that. But Naruto told her that he should be the one to be apologizing. Yuji was still pissed about all of this. As the group went inside, and they had a talk, as Naruto said that he will not leave Mikoto out still, as all of them will have to sit down and talk about it and come to a mutual understanding. So yeah guys, that was basically the last where we left off. You guys can switch across and please and check it out for yourself. So let's start this new episode. We begin this at the Hokage's tower, as Jiraiya stared at Naruto as he walked in the office. Jiraiya then turned to the window. If I know things were gonna escalate like this, I would have returned back to the village with you, he said. It had been an option to return with the blonde after the battle with Pain, but Naruto told him to stay behind because all was well. Besides that, he wanted to speak to Nagato. But apparently Naruto's situation was an emergency, as he could have died. Otherwise, from that day's dialogue with Konan and Nagato had been fruitful. He learned everything after separating from them. You wouldn't have done anything to change things, Jiraiya, Naruto said. It was better things happened the way they did. Everyone's thoughts is all clear now, and we all know where we stand, Naruto said with a shrug of his shoulder. We don't know that, Jiraiya said. I have a lot of experience in life. Maybe I could have done something to help. Naruto thought of snorting, but that would be unbecoming of him. This whole situation was making him think about emotions a bit more. Well, you have to show a bit more of emotions if you're going to be a good person in the future. By that, he meant father, but he didn't want to say it. But Naruto couldn't help himself. Yes, your experience by getting beaten up by the delightful blonde in front of us would have been helpful. Yes, I can see how you would have handled the situation. You do have a good reputation for having a silver tongue after all. Jiraiya stared at him for a long minute. I was only trying to help, he said. And I was offering a sarcastic response to your offer, Naruto said. In any case, you're a greater man than I am, Jiraiya. You have survived for so long, standing behind the objects of your feelings, and yet getting nothing in return. To be honest, I'd go berserk in such an event. My advantage, as always, received in kind. I have never yet say that one that got away. Snather raised an eyebrow. You're not being sarcastic about it, as he just said that Jiraiya was a better man than him. Of course not, Naruto said. Despite everything, Jiraiya is a great shinobi. Having fought by his side in a battle, I cannot say otherwise or disrespect his title as a Sanin. But my remark wasn't about power, but the strength of the heart. Tsunade shook her head. She was going to get into a talk about heart with Naruto. You're also comparing love and manipulation. How could you compare love and manipulation, she asked. Those two are two different things. Depends on how you look at it, Naruto said. Manipulation just doesn't deal with the mind. You have to grab onto their heart and make them love you. That is the case with Orochimaru's subordinates. They would rather die than betray him. Why do you think that? That love is twisted, Jiraiya said. I didn't say it wasn't, Naruto said. In any case, my situation is fine. Let's get to the main subject. This was the reason he was called here with the Akatsuki Handle. Well, the threat wasn't gone yet, but they still have the masked Uchiha in the picture. Seeing that man was playing behind the scenes, it was likely that he would try to attack Nagato if Nagato forsake his ways and truly tried to find real peace. But Naruto wasn't going to rest until he grabbed that man by the throat and mutilated him for what he did. There was only two people he hated in this world. That was the masked Uchiha and Orochimaru. And he would get them both. And he would make sure the both of them had a painful, suffering death. Tsunade shook her head in response. Jiraiya was telling me that he handled his former student, but I want to tell you both, I want nothing to do with it. If it becomes known that you have been working with the former leader of the Akatsuki, I will deny any knowledge of it, and if there is someone that has to be hanged for it, you two will face the music, she said. There really isn't need to go that far, Naruto said. We can blame someone else for the Akatsuki mess. True, both Kumo and the Stone will want blood after what happened, but they will get their Jinjukis. Nevertheless, we can blame the masked Uchiha who called himself Madara for what happened. Still, what are you really planning to do with Nagato? Tsunade asked. Nothing has been decided, Naruto said. But Nagato desires peace. Although that isn't the specific same that I want, we still have the same conclusion. The Mizukage can agree with me on that one, Naruto said. In any case, I have not thought about what to do exactly with the man. Nevertheless, we will do something together soon. He is still a Uzumaki. You said you were planning on meeting Tsuchikage's daughter, she asked. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow upon hearing that. Are you sure you want to do that, he asked. Kurosaki wasn't just the granddaughter of Tsuchikage, she was a powerful stone kunoichi. Not to mention, if things continue down this path, she would likely end up as the fourth Tsuchikage. Only he was already pushing it, but he can still hold on for a couple more years. And the worrying thing about it was, for meeting Kurosaki, that woman was known for loving her village. And she would see Naruto as nothing more than a threat to the village. And if she had that mindset, sparks will fly. If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't be thinking about it, Naruto said, just shrug. I'm just saying, Jiraiya said, your father isn't thought about fondly in a rock. I don't think this Kurosaki would like to see you. Naruto merely smiled. You worry too much, Jiraiya. I'm aware of the facts, but I'm still going to seek an audience with her. It might prove difficult, but I'm going to get her to see me as an audience, not an enemy. We must recognize that Kiri and the Sand are still the weakest and great hidden nations. If something was to break out, they wouldn't be able to make a difference. Kumo and the Stone are big. That is why we must not forget about them. What did Nagato say about the masked Uchiha, Naruto said, looking at Jiraiya? Nothing much. It appears that he doesn't know much about him. He doesn't know much or about his hidden goals. That is disappointed, but not unexpected, Naruto said. Time skip. Sometime later. With Sai, how is Ino training going? Naruto asked. As now was the time to act. Have to make movements in the angles that will position him into a dangerous place. It is moving smoothly, Sai said. She has a built-in gathering intelligence. But, Naruto said, she lacks the discipline to keep it, Sai said. She has always been a bit of a gossip, Naruto thought. It will prove difficult to get her to shut her mouth. And those things we need to keep private because it will get one into trouble. I will work out things with her. The thoughts of her letting something slip that can put someone to real danger will have to click into her mind. I will handle things after. Sai merely nodded. What do you plan on feeding her? I will think about it. It isn't a final decision. Just after I've spoken to her to see where we stand. But of course I will consult with you. And in case you have a better suggestion, I will consider it, he said. As Sai raised an eyebrow on hearing that, he wasn't expecting Naruto to say anything like that. He never asked for their opinion. Well, things change, and it wouldn't be bad for things to work differently. I think I can manage her though, Sai said. We haven't been working together for long, but she isn't a private person, so I can understand her. It is easy. Naruto shook his head. Don't let that fool you, Sai. Don't say you can fully understand a woman. I haven't had much time with them either, but in my experience, they are unpredictable creatures who can do anything. What made them dangerous is that they can do those things while still showing you an innocent look. I will trust your judgment nevertheless, Naruto said. As Sai nodded. I will handle the situation, Sai said. You need to handle things though. What has happened, Naruto asked. You are right to say she was a rather perceptive person. She found out about you and Mikoto and she's troubled by it. She has been drinking a lot. I have someone keep an eye on her to make sure nothing bad happens. Naruto frowned. His relationship with Ino goes a long way back. There has been some feelings he has trying to ignore for her sake. I will speak to her, Naruto said. I need you to head out to the sound. Find whatever you can find about Orochimaru, whereabouts, and the Uzumaki with him. Once you have his tail, have your rats keep a tail on him, and I will get Sasuke and we will eliminate him. Sai nodded. Be sure to keep away from Orochimaru, because if you get close, he will get you. Where's Ino? He asked. A couple minutes later, Naruto stood in front of a bar. This was much worse than the one that he visited with Yuji and the other envoys, as inside he could see the people slurring and cursing, and they were acting all crazy, as everyone seemed to be lost in their own little world. As he looked for the person he wanted, as he found her sitting by a stool with 3 men around her. Was this something that happened every day? Ino was still a kunoichi, so normal people could not take advantage of her. But Sai said he had someone looking after her. That meant someone was in this place. For a moment he thought of searching, but a signal was sent to him in a wave of chakra, which only those associated with him could know. As his eyes narrowed towards his left, he simply nodded as he walked over to Ino. She didn't turn to face him, as she didn't even notice him with the 3 men surrounding her. Ino might not have noticed him, but the guys around her did. What do you want, brat? This one is ours. How distasteful. Just because she was alone and drunk, that didn't mean they could take advantage of her. They were imposing, and Naruto was sure that Ino wasn't that kind of person who would pick up strangers and just take them to a dark alley. She's just a teenage girl drunk and not thinking straight, and yet you 3 want to gang up on her. Naruto asked in a calm tone. He wasn't happy. Huh? One of them said as he got straight in Naruto's face. You got something to say, kid? Naruto grabbed the man by the throat and thrust him over to the wall. The other 2 was upon him in seconds, as he quickly subdued the both of them. No one even reacted to the little scene. Everyone around here was just junk. As Naruto took a step closer to Ino, as right now she was just ignoring him, because she has to have seen that. He was going to sit with her or share a drink. He just wanted to get her out of here. They will talk another day. Ino, he said. She twisted around and looked at him with a strange look on her face. She then looked away without saying a word as she looked at her drink and gulped all of it. I can't believe you turned me down because you were shagging an old hag. I thought we did have something special between us, and yet I was not the only one. It was you, Jio, as well. We do, Naruto said. That is why I'm here with you, Ino. Are you sure? And it is not that I'm no one of your pets, she asks. Not at all. I'm here because I care for you. I've always been one of your knights, and I have no thoughts of stopping. You are my only friend in childhood, the only person who tried. Can we go somewhere else, Naruto said. I can see that you're not drunk. She turned around and faced him. There is really nothing to talk about, she said. I was just sad because my pride of a woman was wounded. You think of me as a child, so you went to an old hag. That isn't true, Ino. I know that you have grown. You have always been a level above those your age. But I live a different life. I didn't want you to get involved in it. I thought not to hurt you because when it comes to me, you'll never know. That's crap, she said. You're making me join your dangerous work, and yet you refuse me in a romantic way because you didn't want me into anything dangerous. She then placed both of her hands on his shoulders. If that is true, can I prove to you that I am strong and I'm not a mere child who needs to be protected by a mama's boy? He didn't get to say anything because she leaned in and kissed him, as she was doing it in a hungry way, as Naruto didn't push her off just yet, as he didn't want to hurt her even more. But after a minute passed, he separated himself. You look fine, but there is still alcohol in your system. Otherwise, you wouldn't be this brave, he said. So, she said. As Naruto stood there, what was he supposed to do? She wanted something. If he was a womanizer, he wouldn't waste time giving it to her. But what would happen after that? He was not going to see Mikoto anymore. So he could be left with Yujiro, but wasn't that enough? He didn't need to involve Ino in his twisted urges. Though looking at it, it wouldn't be so bad. He could manage things afterwards. He shook his head. Since when did he become such a person? Let us get out of here, he said, as he held out his right hand. This place doesn't suit you. The next day, it was morning, as there was a heavy atmosphere in the house because the Uchihas were present. They were in the house of the Uzumaki. As Naruto was just happy that they were going to solve this right now, the longer it hung over their shoulders, the more difficult it became. Kushina sighed as she thought about what to say to Mikoto. Honestly, she felt betrayed by the woman. She hadn't thought that Mikoto would do something to her. But the woman was her friend, and she did not want to hold any grudge over it, but the betrayal was still in her heart. I won't say much, Kushina said. You're expecting my grandson, and that isn't something I can look away from. It really doesn't matter where it is coming from. Although I would be happy if it didn't came from my best friend. I still have to live with it, she said. However, you are to stop what you had with my son. I will not permit it any further. Naruto will be the father of your child, and that will be the end of it. I am not saying you must stop caring and look only at the child. I am just saying that thing you did when we were not looking must come to an end now. As Mikoto gave a sad smile, I understand, she said. She could not say she was sorry because she became pregnant because she wasn't. Perhaps she might have planned it, but that didn't matter at this stage. She was looking forward to the future and nothing else. I still hope that we can get along. I really don't have any other friends outside. Kushina was silent. That was the truth. Mikoto could count on Sasuke to offer emotional support. With Sasuke, it was as if she had no one. She had Naruto in her times of need. He has always been there for comfort. He has always been someone who can talk to. While I feel betrayed, I don't think we can be separated, Mikoto. I cannot entirely blame you for this because Naruto is not a child who can be deceived by sweet words. He got into it because he wanted to, Kushina said as she sent Naruto a look. In any case, I still have to stay close to ensure everything goes perfectly. Thank you, Kushina. I really mean it. And I'm sorry for betraying your trust, Mikoto said. Kushina just nodded as she stood up. Stay for breakfast, she said. As Naruto was thinking, this was going way much better than he expected. He knew things would have perked up a bit, but not this much. Either way, he was pleased that everything settled. That look his mother gave him though, still meant he has to deal with her about his own actions. As Mikoto insisted about helping Kushina prepare, and she didn't see any problem with it, as Yujiro didn't want to be left alone, so she went to join the others. You're awfully obedient when your mother is around, Sasuke said, looking straight at Naruto. I shouldn't be surprised though. I have always told you to respect your mother, Sasuke. I respect mine. Perhaps you can find offense to that statement, seeing that I didn't respect you or your mother. In what has happened, he said. But that would be looking at things on one side. Your mother isn't a child. She knows what she's doing and whatever she does. Continue to look at me with contempt is nothing but a stupid activity. That will make you a bitter Uchiha. Well, that isn't for me to say. You have your own ways and I have mine. He was going to tell Sasuke how to live his life. He was no longer looking after the Uchiha. He had done so because Itachi asked him to do so, but Sasuke was all grown now. Sasuke raised an eyebrow by Naruto's statement. The blonde wasn't trying to force his ideas on him. In fact, he was telling him he could do whatever he wanted to do. You're being highly considerate. If you were like this before, things would have gone a different way, Sasuke said. It's not that I'm being considerate, I just realized a person cannot stay a child forever. When we grow, parents allow us to make choices for ourselves. But it's how we live our life that make parents try to decide and try to intervene in our life. In any case, how is on-boot training going so far? Sasuke shrugged. Fine, he said. They are much more human than what people make them out to be. That is because it is necessary. If you lose your emotions there, you will become nothing but an emotionless killer. That is why they teach you discipline, and they always try to be lively on their own, to remember what it is to be still human. Sai has gone out to find Orochimaru's whereabouts. Once he does, I will rear the mask once more, and you will go on your first extra mission. That is something I can do, Sasuke said. I will talk to Tsunade about it. Later that day, it was always by assumption you will know why the Akatsuki's were gathering Jinchuriki, and in that specific order. Once Gaara confirmed about the ceiling, everything came back to you. Foolish, ignorant humans see you nothing as a massive chakra control by hatred, but I have always seen you more than that. You could have told me that it wasn't Madara who compelled you to attack Konoha. Even if someone was wearing a mask, you should be able to tell the chakra that summons you, Naruto said, as he was looking straight at the Kyuubi. The Biju had withheld vital information from him. It was information that could have simplified things. Even though there was things that he didn't understand and need to understand them, as he wanted answers, and if the Biju will not, he wasn't above using Shisui's eye to get what he wanted. But it was important that the Biju cooperated. He will seek that cooperation first before going to extreme measures. It will be difficult to get along with the Biju once he does go down that path. You have already stopped the Akatsuki. Why do you still need to know? Kurama asked in a curious tone. Dealing with pain meant that he stopped the Akatsuki from capturing all the Bijus. Not only that, but the threat on his life has been removed. Asking me that question, Naruto said. Are you concerned about the darkness in me? Does it scare you, or is your only survival what you are concerned about? Kurama looked at him for a few seconds. The darkness inside of you, it's certainly something people should be scared of. While unlikely, but if you do lose it, with the knowledge on the Kages and how to manipulate them, you could bring this world to your knees. You have messed with that idea in your mind for a couple of occasions, and it is the last resort. The only thing stopping that is your mother. If something was to happen to her, it even scare you, I can see it. That part of you that linger in your deep subconscious, that wants to break out. That part of you who just want to kill people. Naruto tilted his head to the side, so it is darkness. I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. I know of ways to handle that issue. As you have noticed, things are turned up for me. I have things to care for these days. Now, let us begin. I have the time and determinations, and the will to get the information from you, if you do not comply and answer me straight, Naruto said. Time skip. A month later. The past month has been, rather good, if Naruto could say. His mother has been getting along with Mikoto, but all they have been talking about is baby this, baby that. Kushina was just as excited as Mikoto was about the pregnancy, as Kushina was even willing to leave him in a room with Mikoto without trying to eavesdrop on them, as she had worked out her anger issues about Mikoto's betrayal. The only person who seemed to be struggling is Yujiro, as Naruto hasn't talked to her about the whole entire issue, but she's having some thoughts about the fetus inside of Mikoto. Trying to understand those emotions will just complicate things for him. But he was going to ignore them. It was something he needed to deal with before it becomes a major problem. Ino punched Naruto in the shoulder, seeing that he was lost in his thoughts once more, as the two were just coming from a restaurant in the Hidden Leaf. She often pulled him into those shops to avoid eating ramen every day. Since Sai was away, he was sticking around her a lot to account for her training. Ino wasn't complaining about it. She was just happy that he was fulfilling his promise to train her. "You're getting lost in your thoughts again," Ino said, as she get a bitter smile on her face. "Thinking about becoming daddy?" she asked. "Something like that," Naruto said. "But I'm concerned about Sai though. It's been a whole month and there's been no contact at all. Not really, but the contact has stopped. Considering that we already narrowed down Orochimaru hideouts, getting a check on him wouldn't be that hard since Sai was already working with Jiraiya peoples." As Naruto never expected this silence from Sai, he was thinking about going out to see what had happened. He could follow Sai's trail and hunt him down. It would be a problem if he was captured by the snake. As Naruto was already sure that Orochimaru knew that Sai worked for him, and given the last encounter, that snake would probably want the audience with him again. Well, it wasn't a problem because he wanted to see the snake. "Are you worried about Sai?" said Ino as she was shocked. Perhaps a bit dramatic, but the way the blonde talked about Sai, it didn't seem like he valued his life to be worried about his safety. Sai is an important part of things, and I cannot afford to lose him. I doubt Orochimaru would kill him if he captured him though. The snake is a type of vermin who likes to keep his toys alive just so he can dissect them to see what made them tick. Well, your dislike of Orochimaru is something I can confirm. It's really surprising that you can hate though. Aren't you afraid of losing yourself? What are you getting at, Naruto asked. What? Ino said with a smile. You think Sai doesn't tell me little things about you? Besides that, how long have I known you, Naruto? The reason you stop yourself from hating is because if you hate, it could trick Ino, Naruto said, cutting her off. You should join us on that mission. It will show you how corrupted humans are. We will take you through some of Orochimaru's hideouts so you can see the world in the same eyes that we do. You need to understand the reason we do the things that we do. What else don't I know about this world, she asks. So many things, Ino, Naruto said in a firm tone. I need to get my mission with Tsunade done though. I wish I could leave with you, she said. Besides, I got used to your company in these couple of days. And I like to see the sight of the sea. When are you going to take me there anyway, she asks. Soon, I'll be gone by tomorrow morning. Are you going to cope with everything on your own? You'll be dealing with those people since Sai and I won't be available. Well, you don't have to worry about your safety though. They were difficult to understand. They're good people. Ino rolled her eyes. Good people? Don't you think I've dealt with them with Sai? I'm just saying we don't want anything going wrong because of your inexperience, Naruto said. Come on, she said, we don't have all day. I must be home a bit earlier today. Later that day. How long do you think you can keep the truth hidden, Naruto? Yuji asked Naruto as they were in the room in the Senju compound. As Naruto didn't have to ask to know that Yuji was talking about Mikoto. Anyone who cared to know would soon find out that Uchiha Mikoto was pregnant. The only question that need to be answered is, who is the father of a child? And that would not be a good thing for Mikoto, given his experiences with the villagers. It wouldn't take long for her to find herself alone in the village. Yes, he could see her walking along the streets with whispers behind her. People would be looking at her with so many questions, but nothing would be said to her. They would just be curious. As Naruto thought that keeping his part in it would be, he could keep it on the down low, but the way things were going, that was not likely. He already had an existing relationship with a woman. It wouldn't take long for people to start to fill up the streets with rumors. One person would be disgusted by the rumor will be Sasuke. Well, at least he's working with Anbu now, and that take up most of his time to be on the streets. And Naruto was sure those Anbu would not react the same way as the people in the streets. I am not trying to hide it, Naruto said. I have thought about it, it is impossible. I'm just not going to announce it to everyone. Should this really be something we ought to discuss? Maybe not, she said, but it bothers me. I can't help myself. Is this why you pushed for our mother to suggest that Mikoto and I stop our relationship, Naruto asked. There was no emotion in his tone to tell that he was angry or disappointed about it, as Yuji could not read anything from his expression. You were going to end it, so what is the big deal, she asked. Naruto shook his head. Don't get behind my mother like that. You shouldn't even feel threatened like that. You know you will always be a part of my life. I don't have the guts to kick you out because of my fears. To be honest, if I was thinking of cutting you off, I would have to kill you in the process because thinking about your revenge. But you show no signs of it, but chances cannot be taken. In any case, this is it. Mikoto isn't going anywhere, and neither are you. The difference is, she's carrying my child, and I care for you as well, Naruto said. The first words you said don't make me happy, she said with a shake of her head. But I do feel a bit unloved these days though. You spend your days getting all close to Ino with her training, and when Mikoto comes, you're all ready to bring out the red carpet for her. Naruto turned towards her. Do you hear yourself, woman? Ino is temporary, and I even asked you if you were willing to join us in training to teach Ino Kenjutsu. Seeing that you're better at it than me, I have not even been giving Mikoto any special treatment. But things are not the same, that I can admit. But you can't expect me to treat her the same way as before anyway. She smiled. You're quick to give reasons. Well, the fact that you're a reason is a good thing. So how long will you stay in Kiri? Not long, Naruto said. I'm going to Tsunade, so she won't take much time away from the village. My return will depend on what I learn about the journey. I still need to deal with Orochimaru. I cannot be at peace knowing that he's still out there. When you deal with him, what will be left, she asked. A few loose ends, Naruto said. He still needs to get his hand on the Uchiha bastard and also work around a few things with Nagato. The next day, Tsunade could not say what possessed her, to say that Naruto could be her only protection, seeing that she was not traveling with any of her guards, just the blonde. But she didn't think that he would do anything bad, and with the knowledge that the Akatsuki was no more, she felt that the world was a bit safer. Besides, she had been roaming around the elemental nations before, without any guards, and no one attacked her because of her status as a Sannin. But she was more than just a Sannin now. Safety wasn't an issue. She was more concerned about working out things with Mizukage. She wanted to hold talks that would be fruitful for both Kiri and Konoha. Her thoughts aside, she was hopping through the trees, with Naruto beside her. Thinking about the blonde, she came to a stop, causing Naruto to do the same. As Naruto narrowed his eyes at her, he did not sense anything, so he wondered why did she stop. If I was a paranoid person, I would be on my guard now, thinking that this was a ploy to get rid of me. Who better than to deal with me than the 5th Hokage? Tsunade raised his eyebrow. The fact that you even thought about something like that means you're paranoid. Perhaps, Naruto said, but I do think of myself as a careful person. Why have we stopped? You can't be tired. It has only been a couple of hours since we depart from Konoha. Tsunade stared at him. Was he even hearing what he was saying? A couple of hours. Tsunade almost laughed. A normal person would be worn out from running for a couple of hours, and he was saying that shouldn't tire her. Not everyone is a stamina freak. Unlike you, some of us has normal bodies, she said. And besides, she wasn't getting any younger. You're recognized as the best medical ninja in the elemental nation. One would think that you find a way to keep your stamina up when running, Naruto said. To burn less energy. When you have control over your chakra, you learn of ways to use less on it, even of the things that would normally drain you dry. I would think for a medic, you'd make your ways super. I am not Orochimaru, she said. For something like that, you'd have to experiment, not on yourself, but for other people as well. I didn't say that you were, Naruto said. There are many ways to go around that without experimenting on people to get results. So tell me, why have we stopped? I'm getting the feeling it isn't because you're tired. Tsunade was a little tired, but she could still go on for about an hour or so. But that wasn't the reason why she stopped. There was something that clicked in her head when she thought about Naruto and his abilities. Why are you wasting time traveling all the way to Kiri when you can just teleport? Naruto stared for a moment. It wasn't that the thought was just crossing his mind. He knew what he could do and what he couldn't do. He was just surprised that it took Tsunade this long to bring it up. She had knew he used a Harushin and he was to Kiri before. He was actually thinking the reason she didn't bring any of her guards is because she wanted him to teleport them to Kiri. But then they started to run. And to also bring him alone along. You're becoming complex on your safety. Because you think the Akatsuki is gone, he said, and there is no more threat. Yes, everything should be fine, unless there is something you and Jerry are not telling me about, Tsunade said. Don't be naive, Tsunade. You were not born yesterday, you should know. The world still had problems before the Akatsuki. There is always someone plotting something. You should be the one teaching me this. Between you and me, Fifth. You're the one with the most experience, he said. Tsunade shook her head as she didn't like that he was talking to her like a child. But she has not forgotten the kind of world she was living in. She could not forget that as she lived past a bloody war and lost so many people back then. The threat I consider is on my person. Not everyone will be willing to attack me. Besides, I am not weak as a few lords that I will need someone else to protect me. Not to mention you're capable shinobi yourself, she said. There are still some mystery about how powerful you are really. Sasuke I know can cause some destruction, but you are different altogether. I know you can use the Kyuubi's chakra with an element you excel at, and you can also use the other elements. And you have large amount of chakra and use Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, and Fuinjutsu. Tell me, what can't you do, she asked. A lot of things, Naruto said, but he didn't divulge much detail about it. He took a step towards her and held out his right hand. We are only skipping the seal. Once we reach a line of water, We will still have to travel through the village because I haven't marked anything to miss, he said. Why not? I did not learn this jutsu to make traveling easier. Shall we, he said. Later that day, at Kiri, this was the first time she was ever stepping into the village hidden in the mist. She had traveled to many places in her gambling days, but never to this side. Seeing that the village was locked in a bloody mist war. As Naruto and Tsunade were walking towards the Mizukage tower, flanked by two shinobi and Ayo, leading the way. How long do we have in this village to act? It depends on how things go, but no longer than 3 days. You in a hurry to get somewhere else, she asked. I need to find Sai fast and sort out this Orochimaru issue. The more the days pile up, the more something inside me grows. I find his existence slightly intolerable, and as the days go on, something inside me twists and turns. Tsunade shook her head. She did not mind that he was talking something like this in front of Kira Shinobi. It wasn't like their business was a secret anyway. Naruto's dislike of Orochimaru was something that she was familiar with. And if Orochimaru does disappear, the Shinobi world will be a bit safer, and no people will be going missing by his actions. As the two finally made it to the tower, as Tsunade smiled back as Mei greeted her with a smile. Hokage Dano, Mei said that smile. It's a pleasure to finally see you in person. I didn't think that you would actually come to me though, given my village standing. There could be no doubt that Konoha was the strongest in the village. It has reigned since the founding of the Hidden Villages. As Mei never thought that the leader of such a village would leave her comfort of her village to come here to talk to her. Kira would be the one to gain more from the alliance, so why did the woman come here, instead of making her come to Konoha? It couldn't be because of Naruto, could it? As she wondered, but she was glad nonetheless. As powerful as Konoha is, it still needs other villages to survive, Tsunade said before passing on her greetings to the Mizukage. Besides, with the likes of him lurking in the shadows, we cannot be too careful, she said, pointing at Naruto beside her. Mei looked at Naruto for a moment before laughing. Well, you're certainly right about that, she said, as she showed Tsunade where to sit. He's an interesting person who likes to move things. Tsunade nodded. I thought I'd pull my weight this time to make sure he isn't running another game. Well, I doubt he would do that anyway, now. Asides, getting away from the village to get some fresh air, I want to see another Kage, and also venture into your mountains to get some plants. You're a medic, Mei said, not surprised you would go for that. She then turned to Naruto. It's a pleasure to see you again, Naruto, she said. The pleasure is all mine, Mei, Naruto said, with a small smile. I'm sure you're tired. I would have someone show you a hotel, and fetch you later on for dinner at my place. You can also use the time to see the village. Tomorrow I can take you where we want to go before we discuss matters, Mei said. Is that acceptable? Yes, said Tsunade. One more thing, Mei said. I'm curious about his abilities. I thought that last time you would not agree to it, but since you're around, how about a sparring session between him and one of my own? We can say this is a match to start a friendship between Konoha and Kira, Mei said. Not a bad idea, said Tsunade. As Naruto shook his head, Tsunade had started grown comfortable with him to say anything that come to her mind. Well, she had no reason to worry, and this was something he wanted when he started his interaction with her. But she didn't act like she had a hold on him. She wasn't like the third, or that cripple he got rid of with Itachi. She must know that the moment she tried to control him like that, he will stop smiling with her. Who knows, he might consider her enemy, and put her in the same condition as Danzo. Thinking about this, Naruto really think it wasn't easy for someone to handle him, with these thoughts he constantly get popping up in his head. Well, he was really troubled. As long as people respected his boundaries though, all will be well. Naruto was pulled from his thoughts by Mei's voice. Lost in your thoughts. I wonder what you're thinking about, she said. The next day, Naruto was looking at Ayo with an expression on his face. He didn't say anything to the man, but he turned towards the Mizukage. Just one, he asked. Is this going to be enough? Mei blinked. For now, yes, she said. If you get by without any trouble, I wouldn't mind joining as well. It has been long since I moved about the battlefield, she said. I would also like to show the Hokage a bit of my skills. And it's against someone like you, she said. You think highly of me, Naruto said, but I will try not to disappoint you. He then turned towards Ayo. This is a sparring session. I will not take it easy on you, meaning you'll have to spend the rest of the day in the hospital. Ayo scoffed. The brat was underestimating him. He did sense that he was strong, but to underestimate him like that. I will allow my skills to do the talking for me, Ayo said. Naruto then turned back to Mei. I know I said I wouldn't hold back, but what are limits? If they did not put limits on him, he would be allowed to let loose of the Kyuubi's power. You're a Jinjulki, so no use of your Biju's power, she said. I doubt that is going to make a difference, Nade said. I have read all records of his major fights. He doesn't ordinarily use the Kyuubi's power, unless it is for healing, or unless he's against a mountain that needs a mountain to be taken down by using it. Aside from that, it depends on his own power. Upon hearing that Mei smile, it was a real trait from a Jinchuriki. Most of them mostly depends on their Bichu power. Well, it wasn't foolish. Why keep a power away that could wipe out the entire army with one blow? Naruto then turned back to Ayo as he waved his right hand. A small gust of winds started to pick up around him. But guys, to be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also stay in tune because I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Otsutsuki King. So stay in tune for that, and I hope you guys enjoy. And also over at Anime King 2, I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Banished and got a supernatural ability. And later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor, so stay in tune for that as well. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.